Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here this week on Teslanomics Live. This is a live broadcast, so if you're watching this after the fact, it may be a little bit long and I might ramble a little bit, but know that I have a lot of good content here. And what I do in this show, for those of you that are new here, is that I check out the news from Tesla from the past week. I give my thoughts and opinions on it, and I also dig into any other items. And specifically, I like to start off the show with what I call the long and the short. These are terms I'm borrowing from economics, from markets and all that, and we're thinking about this in terms of what's going on with Tesla. So I have the long is the thing I'm betting on, and the short is the thing I'm betting against or the thing I don't like. It's not in a literal sense of what you might do with stocks, but it's more a sense of liking and disliking something. So with that, I thought I would start this week with my long, and that is, of course, on all the Model 3 updates. Let me switch over and show you what I'm talking about here. So there's been a lot going on this week with the Model 3. And specifically, I want to talk about some updates that Elon gave in a shareholders meeting just a couple days ago. And Elon said, we expect the configurator to go live towards the end of next month, July, when we deliver the first production Model 3. So yes, we are definitely on track to deliver the first production Model 3 next month. That's awesome. How amazing is it that we're actually going to see a Tesla car delivered on time? The question then is about what kind of configurations are there? We all had this idea of all the potential options that we may or may not want, and I've even got some questions from you guys about that. But it sounds like we're not going to have too many options. So Elon continues. He said, we kept the initial configurations for the Model 3 very simple. This is critical to achieving a rapid production ramp. Now, I'm going to be recording a video later today, which is going to go live this week, about my prediction for that production ramp and what that may look like. I'm calling all the data together right now and doing my analysis, so stay tuned for that later in the week. Now, Elon continues that the big mistake we made with the X is way too much complexity right at the beginning. This was foolish. And the Model X has way too many cool things in it that should have been really rolled out with version 2 or version 3. That would have been a sensible way to do it. So initially, the Model 3 configurations or configurators is kind of going to be like, and I'm quoting here, what color do you want and what size of wheels do you want? That's basically going to be the configurator. There will just be a single motor to begin with, and then we will have the dual motor config if we are lucky toward the end of this year or more likely next year. So, big news, right? This Model 3 is actually coming out, and it's going to be here, and there are only a couple options. Now, I've speculated about this before, and I feel like we're getting closer to this becoming a reality. In the beginning, we're only going to have a couple options here. We're only going to have the 75 kilowatt hour battery, which is actually a 74 kilowatt hour battery, but we're thinking they're going to market it as 75. So with that, they're only going to be really offering that and then wheels and then color. Now, the reason I'm thinking they may do this is because they're going to, in my mind, this is another prediction, they're probably already making the Model 3, a lot of it, and they may start shipping it very soon to various locations where they know there's demand. Then from there, you'll only be able to pick these couple options and you'll be able to get it delivered very soon. Now, this is really going to help them meet their goals of 5,000 cars per week, but I think this is a good strategy if they can really pull it off. The question is, are people going to be upset about not being able to have things like all-wheel drive or a specific finish that they may want, or something like full self-driving out of the gate? Any of these other features which they've said may come later. I'm wondering what that's going to do to reservation holders. And if you are a reservation holder and you want some of these items, for example, all-wheel drive, which are going to be delayed, let me know what you think. Are you going to cancel your reservation? Or are you going to hold out? If you do have to wait an extra 6 months, is that okay? I know some of you, in fact, when I was in San Francisco recently, I was talking to Ryan McCaffrey, who's host of Ride the Lightning, the unofficial Tesla podcast, and he was saying that this is his kind of dream car. He's been waiting for it long enough that he doesn't care. He's gonna wait and see what he gets and get exactly the car he wants. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that one. Are you going to wait? or are you just going to get it as soon as possible and forget it? Me personally, things like all-wheel drive I don't care about. It'd be nice, but I don't really need it, unlike people that live in colder climates or, where it's more of a necessity. So I'm willing just to take it, pretty base or whatever options they offer. If they don't have white, I may wait a little bit, but that's basically it. That's the only thing that's tough for me because I love that color of car. In fact, that's the color of my Model S. So along with that, we also got some awesome new photos. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen these, but I just kind of want to go through them real quickly in case you haven't, because you're in for a treat. So a Reddit user posted this gallery. He found this Model 3 charging, I think it was at Harris Ranch. It's in between San Francisco and LA here in California. And these photos are just tremendous, all up close. And there's one thing in here that I'm curious about. So first and foremost, I noticed, and you see it right here, the charge port pops up and it looks unnecessarily large to me. I don't know if this is just because they're making it cheaper or if there's maybe even something else hidden underneath that. And I'm surprised by this. But hey, you know that it's going to work with the standard Superchargers. Of course, we knew that. Do you still see the gap here around the front area? I don't know if this is intentional or if it's something that they're going to be fixing or changing down the road. Maybe because you don't have another way to grab onto it. Who knows? And I know that when I saw the Model 3 up at the Fremont factory last weekend, this is the exact color that I saw. Now, I saw the pre-alpha version. So on here, you also see the parking sensors down below. I am very much looking forward to that because my Model S is an older one and does not have that. And you can see here they have the little sensors, then they have the big ones. I'm not an expert at this, but I'm guessing that's more for the automatic braking and more some of the more autopilot type features, potentially some of the things that will enable that full self-driving capability. You have this interesting thing here, and I don't know if you can see my mouse as I go over this, but you have essentially this cover over the steering wheel and the center console. So people are really speculating and wondering about why is that? I don't know, this time of year, I'm guessing it's really not that big a deal in terms of temperature. I know I've done this when I used to live in Phoenix, where we would cover these things because they would just get so hot out in the sun. But here, that can't be an issue, so I'm really curious as to what they're hiding there. So this is a great gallery on here. I'll have the link. You can see that there's still wires and all kinds of crap on the car. They're still testing everything. In fact, there was another sighting on Teslanomics I saw, which had the which had the little Bell UV sensor, we think it was, on top. And if you go down one thing, this is a great shot here on the side. I think people were excited about these rims. I'm kind of iffy on the rims. I'm hoping maybe I can put some aftermarket ones on, or if I get the 21-inch arachnids for my Model S, if they might fit somehow. Hopefully that's not something that's super proprietary. But there you go. There's also 26 more images. I mean, this is a ridiculous view, probably the best view by far of the car. So I won't go in super depth. Let me take a shot of the interior because that was something. There's a funny sensor on the back. We don't know what that is. There you go. You can see that they covered this up. It's kind of hard to see. But in covering it up, people are really speculating that there's something else going on there. I put the link to this gallery down below in the description, or I will as soon as I'm done here, if it's not there already. So you can go check that out yourself. I found this on Teslanomics. You could find it, it's probably on every Tesla-related site that you have out there. But this is super exciting, and I can say from personal experience that the car itself, when I saw it up close and personal at Fremont last weekend, it's a beautiful car. It's fantastic. I was actually pretty skeptical on it. Some of the imagery and things and videos I'd see online really didn't look that great to me. And so when I saw this, I was pleasantly surprised. And I think these photos here are making a good case for how good this car is going to look as well. Okay, so beyond the Model 3, which is my long, that it's happening. I love that the configurations are going to be simple. That means that they're going to be able to get it out on time. And, we're getting just more and more looks at it. I'm sure every day it seems like we see new sightings. So that's all awesome stuff. Now, on the short here, I'm kind of splitting this, I don't know, two ways. Let me go with the third one, and then I'll kind of come back to the other one. So Elon tweeted that all superchargers are being converted to solar/battery power. Over time, almost all will disconnect from the electricity grid. And this is my short. So let me pull up the tweet here and kind of explain what's going on. So Elon tweeted out on June 9th that few people know we started Tesla when GM forcibly recalled all electric cars from customers in 2003 and then crushed them in a junkyard. Let me pull up my browser so you can see. Now, there's a bunch of debate. Anytime Elon tweets something, it just goes off. Now, this guy, David Kennedy, replied, "Unfortunately, I can stand at the Tesla Superchargers and see the coal power plant. Play the shell game all you want. These are coal powered." And then Elon replied to him saying, "Look, that we're going to be converting them over." So here's why I'm short on this. If you look at the Union for Concerned Scientists study about this, regardless of whether or not you get your energy from coal or anywhere else, the grid itself is continuing to get cleaner because it's more efficient, and there's all these other good reasons. In fact, here in San Diego, we now have an option which you can pay an extra, so like $3 to $5 to get 100% of your energy from renewable sources. Then the whole grid getting cheaper and better like that, you don't need to be converting these over to solar. And considering all the Model 3 holders and other people that are coming online that are going to have these new cars, they're going to be clogging up the superchargers, or that's the speculation at this point, right? Now, they don't get it totally for free, so we'll see how it actually works out. But my point is, you should be working on expanding the network, then thinking about how to switch it over to more sustainable sources. Now, a lot of the grid is already switching over to these sustainable sources, so you don't necessarily have to do this. It's already being done for you. So I'm shorting this because I think while it's great that we should be doing this, it's not the most pressing thing right now. And so if Elon tweeted this as a, in theory, long-term strategy kind of thing, that's fine. But he kind of made it sound like it's happening right now. And to me, with the market cap and just their profitability and all these other things in question, and the Model 3 not here yet, this should be a down the road kind of a thing. And maybe you focus first on areas that are, using more dirty energy or whatever, right? Places like California, for example, it's almost all renewable sources depending on where you're at. So it really doesn't matter nearly as much. So that's some interesting development. Now, the other piece that I'm kind of short on, but I'm also optimistic about, is the Daimler Fuso e-Canter. And I apologize if this is a European thing and if I'm pronouncing it wrong at all. But this is a new electric truck from Daimler, who is the parent company of Mercedes. And they announced it. They said Daimler is launching a limited series production of the e-Canter later this year in Tokyo, Lisbon, and New York. The ultimate goal is to begin mass production in 2019, around the same time Tesla plans to reveal an electric pickup truck. So this is an electric small utility car or small utility vehicle, and it goes 62 miles on a single charge. And they've driven about 60,000 kilometers or 3,700 or 37,000 miles in testing so far. In Class 8 with Freightliner, we are the number one in America, so we have something to defend, said the chief of this brand here. And so I think I'm excited about this possibility, but I'm just a little iffy on it only going 62 miles and the utility of it. I'll put the link to this here. I mean, this is really cool that this is happening, but with so much space, I mean, if you just take a look at this thing, I don't know why it's not pulling up. But with so much space, I don't know why this isn't bigger. Look at how much space you have in this thing to put a battery. So it just kind of blows me away that it's only going to be go 62 miles on a charge, which is maybe fine, but hopefully maybe they design it in a way where you could change out the batteries, which is common in other utilities like this. For example, forklifts often can be, you just change out the battery so you don't have to recharge all the time. So this is cool. I'll put a link to it. The EV future is happening. It's coming. Here's one example of that. I'm excited about it, but at the same time, I think they could do a lot better. I think if this is what they're putting out there as a way to compete with Tesla, they're going to be hurting. I don't think it's going to do that well once you see what Tesla has coming. And knowing that I don't have full visibility into that. Okay, so I've got 2 more items for you, and then we can get into some Q&A. First and foremost, I want to talk about the Model Y. So the Model Y, there was a teaser image, and I'll show that to you now. And this teaser image of the Model Y is super interesting because it doesn't have mirrors. And people are speculating that they'll fold all the way in. And I'll say that, when I was at Fremont, we're up at the Tesla tour this last weekend, I sat in on a live Q&A with Franz, the chief of design, and somebody asked him about this. Now, he mentioned that it's not legal everywhere, so they can't legally remove the mirrors, on kind of a mass scale where everywhere it's okay to do that. But he did indicate that basically he loves this design and that this is something that we will likely see in not only Teslas, but a lot of cars. So the other way that this would work, if you're unfamiliar with people and talking about this, is that they would have cameras on the sides, and the camera, and that would show up just behind in what's called the binnacle dashboard, the display right behind your steering wheel. Of course, they may do it other ways and all that, but this looks, just from the outset, it looks beautiful. And the Model Y is the cheaper version of the Model X, essentially, right? It's what the Model 3 is to the Model S. It's that to the Model X. So it'll be it's a crossover vehicle, meaning it's a small SUV, and it's more economical, of course. They said it'll be much simpler than the Model X, and this was all from the recent shareholders meeting. And yeah, like the mirrors, what's going on with that? So Elon in the shareholders meeting said, there are a number of really major manufacturing improvements that can be done. The capital expenditures, I think, will be substantially less. I'm confident that we can drop the CapEx by a factor of 2 and accelerate its readiness despite its new technologies. They also mentioned that they think the demand for this will be greater than that of the Model 3. So that gets me into another point, which is that they need to build a new plant. I was just at Fremont, and as big and as amazing as it is, they need a new plant in order to be able to handle, I think, potentially even the Model 3 mass market adoption. So if you take a look on, and again, some of these guys here are bears, so they're not exactly, they're pretty biased, I guess. So take that with what it is. But if you look at this, even Musk is saying that there is just no way we could do the Model Y at Fremont. And I know that for a fact because they only have 2 lines there. They have the Model S and X, which are on the same line, and then the Model, the other line, which I assume is going to be for the Model 3 dedicated to do that. So while everything's going great here, and the Model Y, I think, is amazing, or is going to be an amazing car, once they announce it, and truly could put them into that mass market category, they are going to need a new factory. So then the question comes about, where do you make these things? Where does it go? You probably need another gigafactory as well. Honestly, in San Francisco, real estate's not very cheap. In fact, the Fremont factory, they got it on a steal from Toyota for $42 million. So, we'll see how this goes. But I'm excited that they're talking about building a new plant, because they absolutely need one if they want to really reach the mass market. Forget the Model Y. I'm just thinking Model 3 even, right? We've got 400, 500,000 reservations somewhere in there now. What's going to happen when they need to make 5 million Model 3s? Right? If you look at things like the Honda Civic or the Toyota Camry, or even in the more eco-friendly space like the Prius and those things, we're talking about millions of cars that are being bought every year. And so Tesla is nowhere near being able to handle that load, even if they dedicate an entire line at Fremont just to the Model 3. So what's going to happen when they need to be making millions and millions of cars per year? So I assume that behind the scenes, and maybe we don't know, obviously don't have details yet, that they're already working on this, that they're already scouting locations, and that they're already going to be purchasing them. These things don't just pop up overnight, right? So I would expect some announcements this year. Definitely we know about the gigafactories, but also potentially about new auto plants as well. I'm going to take a drink from my water here. Okay, so I went to the Fremont factory, and I got some cool photos and stuff, and I want to share these with you. Now, I'm not really a vlogger, so I apologize in advance for that. But what you can see here is I got to go, and Kim and her husband from Like Tesla it invited me. In fact, I have an interview with Kim tomorrow coming out here on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And it was unreal to me to go there. I've never been to a manufacturing facility, so it was surreal. And of course, the Tesla one is probably the most advanced one in the world. All those things, but on one hand, it was very inspiring that they build the whole car there, right? Like raw materials come in and out come cars. It's one of the few manufacturers in the United States that do this. Almost everyone else ships it all over around the world for all different parts of the assembly. But here, it's literally made from start to finish in this factory. They get raw materials and some other parts from people, but it's totally assembled there and everything like that. So as massive as it is, and as amazing as it is, I was just blown away because I'd never been seen anything like that. I also got to see some cool cars. This is a brand new Model X P100D, fully loaded with the matte black seats and a lot of other stuff going on. I wanted to see if you could actually stand up in it. I suppose you can. I couldn't fully stand up in it, but it's totally sufficient in terms of getting kids in and out or having more accessibility. It was pretty cool. I definitely enjoyed seeing all this stuff up close because, I don't get to see a Model X that often. In fact, I've never even really driven in a Model X, nor have I driven in a car with autopilot. So there's a couple, unknown facts for you about myself. Here is a really nice Model S that I liked. I love this front fascia here, and this color was brilliant. I don't think this is the signature red. They had it one across, which was the signature red, and I did not like it. And there's Kim standing in the background there. Lots of people wanted to take photos with her, all the fans and stuff that were there. So it was really fun, really cool, and I found some data. And this is cool because, this is kind of what I do, right? And I was kind of wondering, I did see some things inside of the factory related to data, which I can't talk about. But Tesla, I'll just say, if you guys need help designing your dashboards or anything, call me. I'm open to talking to you guys about that stuff. So this was cool. This was in the lobby, and this is all the Superchargers. And what it is it's showing you how much energy is delivered or has been delivered, the miles that people have been able to drive, the gallons of gasolines that have not been burned, and the pounds of CO2 offset. Which, yes, that is over 1 billion pounds of CO2. So this is just incredible. I was really excited about this. Now, I didn't, do a long view of this, but what they have is it'll actually zoom in to a spot and then show you the most recent chargers in that area. So it would like zoom into San Diego, show you the chargers nearby and how in use they are and all that kind of stuff. So I thought this was kind of a fun dashboard here that I took a picture of, and I wanted to share that with you. Okay, so now I have our Q&A section, and thanks to those of you that asked in advance through the email list. If you're not on the email list, go to Teslanomics.co, sign up. There's a join button on there. You'll probably get a pop-up if it's the first time you're there. And then you can go, and then things like this, like being able to ask questions, will be sent to you in advance so you can kind of get on that list. So there's a little perk there. And then after I'm done with these questions, I'll take a look at the chat and we'll see what you have for me. Okay, so Jack asks, thinking about purchasing an S new. Is a new 2016 something to consider if I have a choice? Jack, I would say yes. I would say I've actually been looking even at the used inventory, and I was able to find, and it's funny, they're gone now, but there were a couple ones that had like under 5,000 miles, brand new, or 2015, 2016, with enhanced autopilot and a ton of really great premium features for around $70,000. So a bit cheaper than you would, by configuring it brand new. So I think this is a great option. And if you can afford it, if you're in the $70,000 to $80,000 range before tax breaks and all that stuff, an S is a fantastic car. So it's going to have more storage. It's going to have a longer range. It's going to be a fantastic vehicle compared to any other kind of luxury sedan, if that's the market you're looking at. Hello, Ben. Electrek says the configurator will be available at the end of July. Elon Musk actually said that, and they're quoting him, but yes. Can you explain all of the options you know it will be presented to buyers of the Model 3? Example, optional glass roof. No person has ever seen a hardtop. From Jean Blanchette from Sherbrooke, Quebec. So thanks for writing in yet again. Elon said you'll basically be able to pick the size of the wheels and the color, which means things like the size of the battery will be fixed. I would imagine that he didn't mention it, but any software-related thing will also be available, such as autopilot or full self-driving capabilities. Certain things like that will be, I imagine, will also be there because they're just strictly software-related. But in terms of hardware, I do think that they may not have options besides the glass roof available from day one. And other people speculate, will they have a sunroof? Will they have a few other options that are a hard top? I would imagine that they're going to have a hard top available, but it won't be the initial one, right? They're going to sell the premium ones first, and these premium ones are going to be a higher price point. I'm speculating that the average price people are going to pay is $50,000, which is based on 10,000 samples of what people have said that they want, and with some pricing estimations and all that. So if you want, though, check out my video from last week with Trevor Page from the Model 3 Owners Club. It's a long video, so you can skip to the very end if you just want the answer to the question that one poses. But I do go into relative detail of every single option that we know of, with what are the most popular options and all that. And Trevor is an expert at this, so you can go check out his channel if you didn't know about him. But also we went into detail about every one of these in the video from last week, so go look for that. Peter Kirsch asks, I'm first a Model 3 subscriber. I now find out that dual motors and other options will not be available on the earlier cars produced. What if I want these options? Will I lose my option or position in line if I insist on these options? Thanks. Keep up the good work. So, Peter, thanks for the question. I don't know that you'll exactly lose your place in line, but they are not going to make these cars, to your exact spec for a little while. In the beginning, my speculation again is that they're already making these cars, that are going to start making these cars very soon, and that they'll be shipping them out to different areas before you even go configure them, and they're only going to give you a couple options. So those would be nabbed up right away. If you have a very specific set of options, then yes, you will need to wait. For example, if you want the smaller battery in that $35,000 price point, you're definitely going to need to wait until next year sometime. So I know this is a bummer, but this is kind of how they've done it in the past. And from an economic standpoint, this makes total sense because right now, for example, we know that a lot of the stuff being made for the Model 3 is being done manually. They don't have all the production lines in place yet to automate all the bits of the manufacturing, and because of that, that means that they're just much more expensive. So, in order for them to be profitable and to maintain this without completely taking a loss, they're going to have to sell the more premium ones first. So, this is where again I'm thinking that we're going to be looking at $42,000 plus autopilot plus all these other features, and you'll be looking at about $50,000 to start. So if you want the lower price, that's one thing. If you want specific options, yeah, you're going to have to wait 6 months, maybe even an extra year, which I know for a lot of people is a deal killer. Antonio asks, what's your take on the simple configurator for the Model 3 as stated by Elon in last week's shareholder meeting? Perhaps the configurator will be open to everyone all at once, but the options would be available in phases to match production. First body color and battery, followed by interior color, and a few weeks after, etc. Battery will not be an option to start. Body color and interior color most likely will be, but you may have, I think, 3 colors for the outside and 2 colors for the inside or something. The hardware stuff is the stuff that is really going to be important, and I think that's going to be pretty limited to begin with. Then you'll see all the software stuff. I wouldn't imagine there'd be any reason to hold that back from day one, because also it'll up the price, which will up the profitability. But then after that, I think is when we'll see more things coming out, more colors, more roof options, etc. Things like all-wheel drive and all that. So they have to keep it incredibly simple in order for it to be profitable from day one, and that's what they're going to do. And I'm cheersing them to do that. And I know that for a lot of people that'll be frustrating, but from a company standpoint, I agree and understand. Okay. So we're done with that section of the Q&A. Now I'm going to turn over to the chat. If you have questions, please ask them now. I won't be able to go back and look through all the comments in history. And if you specifically want your question being called out, you can use the super chat feature, but by just spending a couple bucks there. Click on the money sign, and then your comment and or question will be popped up, and I'm guaranteed to give you a call out there. Okay, so. Let me go and see. I'm going to try to going to try to read them in reverse order. Let's see. Any thoughts about Easter eggs for early reservation holders? I've heard speculation about signature red, but with all the prototype photos, I'm thinking it's going to be a free glass roof. Well, we did see a signature red, I think, and I know my buddy Ryan McCaffrey is in love with this color. I personally don't like it. I saw this was actually I think my first time really seeing it up close on an S and an X, and I wasn't a fan. But what do I think? The question is, what do I think that they're actually going to get? I don't know if it's going to be something that cool. It may be something quite less cool, or something that's I don't think a free glass roof. It might be something like free autopilot or something like that, or a free upgrade to this, or I don't think it's going to be something as amazing as that. And then the question is whether or not even those will be available to the public. They may only be available to the founder series, which are the employees. So so there's that. All right. Going through. So thanks for the question, Spencer. How many EVs does it take to offset 1 barrel, 42 gallons of crude oil per day? 1 barrel gives 20 gallons of gas and 11 gallons of diesel. I don't know. 2? I'm not quite sure. If you look at some of the data there, an electric vehicle over its lifespan, it has about 40 to 80% fewer emissions than than an ICE vehicle, a gas-powered car. So, there's a question there. I mean, if you're talking per gallon, who knows? Because there's so many other variables there. But I would say, in general, EVs actually do a great thing to reduce overall CO2 emissions. New picture posted today. Did you look at it? I don't think so. There might be something about, I literally every hour we get new Model 3 photos. And I feel like I've seen, especially after seeing it up close, I've seen every angle of it and I'm excited about it. So I don't know. I don't know if I need to see any more. But I was really impressed by those 36 photos or whatever that they just posted yesterday. Elon mentioned something special for the semi-truck event in September. Any ideas? Maybe we get to drive it? I don't know. I'm hoping to get an invite to that as well as an invite to the Model 3 event, which is coming up in July. So I'm going to be, taking photos and doing everything I can to share that experience with you guys if I get to go to that. So we'll see. Andy Mack asks, what are your thoughts on the standard battery pack? Is that good enough to not upgrade? I don't know. Oh, the standard battery pack being the 60. Okay, so here's my speculation. And I don't have specific knowledge of this, but my understanding and all the signs to me are pointing that first off, we know the car is lighter and it's more aerodynamic. Then I think that we're going to see some innovation in the battery cells themselves, which will make it significantly lighter than what you currently have in the S and the X. And so with that, what I believe we're going to see is a car that's substantially lighter than the S and the X would be if it were that size. So with that, what you're going to get is you're going to get a much further range out of that same amount of energy. And so at a 60, I'm guessing that you're going to be looking at 240, 250 miles. And at a 75, 74, 75, that you may be pushing 300 miles. And so with that, I think that they're both going to be tremendous. I mean, if you want to compare the Model 3 to the Chevy Bolt as well, that gets 240 miles, estimated, whatever. So I would imagine that actually the base is going to be around that range. And then once you get all-wheel drive, you get a little bit more efficiency and all that kind of stuff. So there you go. George asks, will the Model 3 come with more than 75 kilowatt hour battery options in the future? I don't think so, or potentially way in the future, but I don't think it'll be happening for a while. And again, I think it's because there's going to be some innovations in the battery technology itself that are going to give us even better range than we would expect out of those same sizes on other cars. Seamus asks, is the Bolt versus Model 3 on the fence buyer going to be put off with the long waiting list and lack of options initially? Certainly. And now, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Chevy Bolt they're taking orders nationwide now here in the United States, and they're going to start ramping that up in the next couple months. So, that could be a serious competitor. But I think once you see the Tesla on the road and you see it side by side to a Bolt, you're going to have demand for the Bolt or for the Model 3 is not going to wane at all. The Bolt, very practical car. I love that it's a long-range EV from a car manufacturer that has tried to kill this program in the past. So hopefully, if they're actually taking it seriously and doing it, then our EV future is going to come much sooner. But yeah, certainly I could see people switching over. But honestly, you probably wouldn't go that route if I were in that boat. And by the way, if you look, you can get a used Model S now. There's tons of them out there for around $40,000. So you're not going to get a Model 3 for that price. In fact, you're going to be able to get a used Model S for cheaper than you can a brand new Model 3 out of the gate. And you won't have to wait. So I think that there's a compelling argument here to get a Tesla, even if you're waiting for a Model 3, that you can get a Model S now, and it's actually going to be a better car. Now, you may not have all the bells and whistles you want, but it's still a phenomenal vehicle, and better than probably any car you've ever had. Okay. I'm still wondering if the everything Tesla. Hey, how's it going, Alex? I'm still wondering if the lack of the HUD will bother me, or it'll actually be pretty refreshing. I think the HUD is much like gas; it's a thing of the past. Very interesting. I think the companies like NavD will see a bump in sales here for people that want that. I personally don't care that much. I know in other cars, I know have everything in the center console anyways, so I don't think it's going to be that big a deal not having HUD. I do know that some people, this was like a complete deal killer for them. But once you see the car and you get in, I think it's a small detail that people will overlook. Yeah. John Lasher asks, or says, the Model 3 doesn't have the margins to make a software-locked battery a financially viable option. Yeah, I think they're actually going to be shipped with the same battery regardless, and then you can unlock it from the 60 to 75. But I don't think it's going to go beyond that. I think the 75 is there. Barian asks, is the CO2 footprint for producing an EV greater than an unusual car? I assume you mean a gas-powered ICE car, as we call them. To my knowledge, yes. I think it's something like a 5 or 10% more. If you look up the Union of Concerned Scientists study, or I have a video called EV versus ICE, you can go check that out where I break it down. So that's where, if you bought a gas-powered car and bought an EV and never drove either of them, then your gas-powered car most likely is going to be, better for the environment, assuming that means less CO2 in the atmosphere. However, quickly after that, it recoups all of that and starts to become a much better deal, right? And so over the lifespan of the car, it's significantly better. So yeah, there's not really much of an argument there. And those guys did everything. If you take a look at the study, it's pretty in depth. They looked at everything from what it takes to drill into the deepest part of the oceans and suck out the oil and then transport it and then refine it and all the crap like that. Just like it takes to to pull out the lithium from the lakes or whatever, and then refine that and do all those things. So yeah, these are both. I mean, I guess all human activity is destructive to the planet in some way or another. But in the end, yeah, the EV wins that one handily. There's really no argument. Ronnie Peterson asks, or Roni, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. During the tour, did they talk anything about bundling a Model 3 with a battery wall and solar roof? No, I didn't hear anything about that. I also don't know that I'm allowed to say anything detailed about what I saw or didn't see. But there was no talk of really bundling that. I wouldn't be surprised, however, if that comes down where it's like, hey, buy $100,000, you get everything. You got the power wall, you got the solar, you got all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. But yeah, don't know if that's coming or not. It would be nice. Will the Model 3 be shipped with the new battery technology? I believe it will be. I believe the Model 3 will have substantial improvements in the battery technology. I don't know what, but it just, if you think of like how these cycles work and the economics of this, I think that we're going to see something new and exciting in that realm. But I don't really have any details, Has. Is Tesla having problems with the body line? It looks terrible. Not to my knowledge. When I was there, it looked amazing. One thing that's interesting about the paint shop there, by the way, is apparently any chemical you have on you, like deodorant or hair product or anything like that, messes up the paint. So very few people are allowed to go into the paint shop. It was kind of interesting to see that stuff. I mean, we didn't get to go in, obviously. In fact, most of the employees there that I talked to didn't have that ability either. Mark is saying that people think they will get to a Model 3 for $35,000, and I don't think so. Yeah, I agree. I think that it'll be a long wait before you're able to get one of those. Okay, about the NAVD being connected to the car. It looks, so the way I was surprised to find this too, that it has the OBD2 port, which is the onboard diagnostics port. I think that's actually required by law to have. So I assume that it will work. And if not, I'm sure that people like NAVD will have an adapter or something that makes it work. So I wouldn't be surprised there. Hey, Alejandro, thanks so much. And Alejandro asks, do you think the Model S will get better battery performance after Model 3 production? Should I wait on my Model S purchase? Keep up the good work. Elon had a great comment about this where he said, if you just want to wait for it to finally be the best one possible, you're going to be waiting forever. You really, need to decide whether or not you're on board with it, and if you are, go for it, and if not, hold off. Now, if this is going to be the last car you ever buy, then yeah, maybe there's, it's worth waiting. But for most of us, even if this car lasts longer than your typical car, 7-10 years, let's say, you're going to be getting a new one. So I wouldn't really hold up too long. And with the battery technology, like if you think about this, right, and this is total speculation on my part, but I'm just looking at all the factors here and what we may see. Imagine if we could have, whatever the cells are right now, the 2170s or whatever in the cars. Imagine if we could double that, and we could have double that capacity in the same amount of space or weight, or not even double, maybe like 80%, right? So 1.8x. That would take your 280, maybe 300 mile car to the 500 to 600 mile range. That's completely on par and better than, in fact, a lot of gas-powered cars out there. So I think it's totally and entirely possible that if what I'm thinking we'll see with the Model 3 is true, and that we get something like that, like almost a 2x performance on the battery, then it would obviously make sense to make that into the S and the X. Obviously, they're the high-dollar vehicles, and adding this would make them even more high-dollar. So I think that would be. I think if I'm right about this, then we will definitely see it happen in the S and the X. Should you wait? I don't know, because I think it'll be a few years before it's truly up and running in there, and maybe I'm wrong about that. But I think if you want it, you should go for it now. And if you don't already have or know, by the way, you can use my referral code, which I can't publish. I can't, share that publicly here anymore because Tesla doesn't like us doing that on our YouTube channels. But you can message me on Facebook and then, become my friend, and then I can share that with you. In fact, there's only one left. So there's only 5 referrals for this section of the program, which goes till the end of the year. And 4 of those of my code are already gone. So if you are going to do that, just, feel free to message me and you get $1,000 off and free supercharging. So a big benefit to you. So, okay, I've got time for just a couple more here. I want to let you guys get back to your lunch. Vandam Patel asks, when Tesla's coming to India, do you have any idea? I think it'll be a long ways away. I know that they went back and forth recently about this. Elon said that he thought in India you had to source something like 30% of the materials locally, and that didn't exist there. The Indian government came back and said, hey, no, that's not true. That's for things like garments or other types of goods, not something like manufacturing. Obviously, they want him to do this. I think it could come in the next couple of years. Right now, they're trying to decide where the next gigafactories will be. And while Elon wouldn't give that away, he did say, they'll need to have a global presence. I would be shocked if we didn't see a gigafactory and manufacturing plant in China, which may be close enough to India for it to work, depending on where. But, you could see one in India in the coming years. That said, if you have enough money, you could probably buy one from somebody online and have it shipped over and set up your own charging infrastructure if you want. But yeah, it'll be a little while, but it'll happen. I really think that a luxury, high-end electric vehicle like this is not what India probably needs, even though I know that they're doing a lot to switch over to more sustainable forms of transport and energy. I just don't know if Tesla's the right answer for that. I think BYD in China is, maybe a better suitor for that right now. Although I'd love to see Tesla doing that. Hey, thanks for the shout out, Kick Butt Courthouse Training. Go check out your stuff. I'm curious what that is. I'd love to kick butt in the courthouse. I've only been in one, once as a jury member, which was awesome. I had a great experience. But if you guys don't know what that is, go click on his channel there and go support them. Okay, Morgan Matthew. Let's see. Okay, Morgan Matthew is asking about what we call a ghost drain or phantom drain. He says, so help me out here. I saw a vid where a guy went on a trip, left his Tesla in a parking lot for a week, and the battery slowly drains, just sitting. It was dead when he got back in. Major problem. Well, I don't know the video you're talking about, so I don't have the full context of it. But I will say that there is something known as phantom drain. In fact, let me see if I can show you an example of that. So as your car sits, it doesn't really use energy, but it sometimes will want to do an upgrade or a service check or things like that. And that's why they say always leave it plugged in, even if it's not charging, so it doesn't, have any extra drain. And there's an app here called Teslab, and if you have a Tesla, you can get this. And let me see if I can find my. I'm not sure if I have it here. Trips. Yeah, I don't have it. Dang. Activity tracking. I'm looking on the app now. There's an app here I did where they help track this thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a concern, I guess. If you were going to leave your car a week, is shocking to me that it would drop that fast. If you wanted to spend it for months and months, it may drop, I guess maybe 20%. But depending on a lot of factors. So there you go. Little David Mack asks, will Tesla ever make a truck? Yes, they are. They're going to make the Tesla Semi, which is being unveiled this September, and then also a pickup truck after that, to my knowledge. But that'll be a few years out. And yes, they will be there. Kick Butt Courthouse. I travel from Texas to California a lot. Would Model 3 have enough range if chargers are really close to each other? Yeah, so, you have the Supercharger network, and you get to use that. You get 400 kilowatt hours free, which is about 1,000 miles worth of distance usually. Depending on a bazillion factors, but we'll call it 1,000. So you already can do that. And if you go to Tesla's website, you can search for this, or there's a good website called EV Trip Planner which also will let you do that. It'll let you plan out your trip. So go check that out if you're curious about the route, and then that should help you. And then yeah, the Model 3 would totally be able to do it. Like I'm speculating again, it'll be close to 300, if not over 300 miles for the new model. So yeah, it should be able to get you there. Now I know Texas is big, so who knows where you're coming from, but they are all over the U.S. I could drive from here to San Diego, from San Diego to Boston if I wanted to, which might be fun one day. We go visit my friends Zach and Jesse from Now You Know. Merrick asks, do you think Tesla will integrate a HUD into its models? Maybe the S and the X, not the 3. But I do think it's more of a luxury feature, and I think it'll be later. So yeah, maybe the S and the X. Getting a question here about will they use the new, I believe you're referring to the solid state battery technology. I hope so. Batteries, I don't talk about this stuff a lot because it seems like every week there's some new major breakthrough in battery technology. However, I'm not seeing any of them come to market yet. So I'm just kind of skeptical on anytime I hear or see something new like that. I'd love for them to have this, these new different technologies for the batteries, but in fact, they talked about that when I was at the factory. They mentioned that lithium ion for them was like the most stable, mature enough battery technology for them to use. So that's why they went with it instead of maybe some of the other options and stuff like that. So I don't know specifically what's next, but when you have to think about it at Tesla's size, even though they're a tiny auto manufacturer comparatively, they really have to think scale here. They have to think long term. So they can't be, experimenting with these things that maybe won't work out, or they might not be able to get the resources and all that. So there's a lot of factors there. Okay, cool. Thanks, Morgan. I'll go check that video out. Yeah, if you're waiting on the new battery technology for it to land in the Model S, it may be a little while. Jordan asks, do you think that the special for early reservation holders could be free supercharging? That would be smart. I think people would love that. I think the reservation holders would be rejoiced. And at the same time, it wouldn't really cost Tesla much money. Free supercharging, you don't really, most people, in fact, I have data on this. I'm trying to dig into it a little bit deeper. 91% of charging of the data I have, and this is like, I think 24,000 samples, 91% of them did not occur at a supercharger. So the cost of Tesla giving all of these people free supercharging isn't really that high when you think about the electricity. There's a huge capex upfront cost to implement these things, but in the long run, it won't matter. It's pretty minimal, and so I think that would be a fantastic gift. What I'm kind of wondering, since I'm a current Model S owner, it says any future car or Tesla I buy gets free supercharging. I wonder if that applies to the Model 3. So that'll be an interesting thing to find out here as soon as we get the configurations, because I know they're going to be coming out really soon. Nancraft, why does Texas ban the sale of Teslas? It's about the whole dealership model. There are several states out there that do this where the manufacturer is not allowed to sell directly. They have to go through dealerships. You can look back as to why these laws were passed. My assumption would be that it's about education of vehicles and all those kind of things. If you go back to when cars were first coming around, I mean, people didn't know what they were getting into, and they could easily be kind of swindled by a random manufacturer or something. So I assume hopefully it's for consumer protection, but now it's kind of being used as a leverage point for the older model of sales that just isn't really necessary anymore. John Cherry asks, when do you think the July event will be? I'm thinking the third week or fourth week. They said late July. I'm also hoping that because I'll be on vacation for the first couple weeks of July, so I wouldn't be able to go. I'm hoping that third week, maybe around the 20th or 21st. That's my guess. We'll shake on it. A gentleman's agreement. Hey, Kick Butt Courthouse Training asks and donates $5. So thank you again. Besides Turo, do you know other places I can rent a Tesla at? In the United States, I'm not aware of any. But Turo does seem to have quite a bit. of options out there. And if you guys aren't familiar, it's kind of like Airbnb for your car. And yeah, it's pretty cool. You can go find, different models and all kinds of things. Sometimes people want outrageous amounts, like $500 a day or something like that. But I've seen them, for about like 70 or $80 a day. So, that's as far as I know. If you just want to go for a test drive, you can of course go to a store, if you have one nearby, and they'll let you do that. So, okay, almost there. Last question. Thoughts on the Model Y? I have so many thoughts on the Model Y. I think that is going to be bigger than the Model 3. I agree with Tesla when they talk about that. And I also think that that will potentially be the car that they need to make millions of. The Model 3 is going to be a great price point, but it's not going to fit a lot of people's needs, right? If you have kids and things like that, it's just too small of a vehicle. On the other hand, there's a lot of people that don't need big cars. So I think it helps them with their kind of portfolio of vehicles. And I think, in the coming months, when we get more details about it, it's going to generate a tremendous amount of excitement and hopefully really push electric vehicles into the mass market here in the United States, like one of the countries that buys more cars than anyone else. So thank you all for joining me. As I mentioned, tomorrow I'm going to be sharing an interview I did with Kim from Like Tesla. If you've not heard of them or her, go check out her channel. It's really great. They've been doing it for a while. They're also awesome people. And then this Thursday, I'm going to have a video coming out about my predictions for the Model 3. Essentially, how many are going to be delivered, when and where, and then what that means for the United States EV market as a whole for 2017. So come back and check that out tomorrow. And then on Thursday, if you just want to say, screw you, YouTube, I don't care about your algorithm, click the little bell button down below. And anytime I post something or do a live stream like this, it'll pop up in your browser and let you know right away. Also, if that's too much for you or you don't spend much time on YouTube, good on you. But you can go check out Teslanomics.co and get on my email list. That's also where I send out things like invites to submit questions in advance as well. Let me share one more thing. I got a couple drawings here that I'm going to be giving away in a week or so to folks on my email list. So this is, where's the camera? Hello. This is from Franz. This is the Model X drawing. And then I also have one of the Model S. So these are, kind of the original sketches and all that that I have from the chief designer, Franz, from Tesla. And I'm going to be sending out an email here in a week or so asking people to submit their preference or whatever, and then I'll just be kind of raffling these off. I have really nothing to gain on this. They gave them to me, and I thought, hey, how fun would that be to give back to you guys, those that support me and what I do here. So, all right. I've only given you 10 minutes left to finish your lunch, but thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you back here next time.